Excellent. So we are live. Thank you to the city clerk for setting us up and to our communications team for helping. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Palo Alto. My name is Adrian Fine. I'm Palo Alto's mayor, and I'm here chatting with Ed Shikata, our city manager, for our second live table talk. Good afternoon, Ed.
Afternoon, Mayor.
How are you today?
I'm doing quite well. It's another beautiful day in Palo Alto.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's odd to be stuck inside sheltering so much when the weather's so great and flowers are in bloom and it's pretty nice outside, but you can still walk around in your neighborhood. So today we have a couple topics we wanted to go over. The updated shelter-in-place order from the county, talking a little bit about construction work and how the city is responding to that. Gardening has been a big topic. Testing for COVID-19, support for local businesses, and budgets. So a lot going on. Even though most of the city operations is working remote, we're trying to make sure we deliver high quality and cost-effective services to our residents, our businesses, and people who work here, who travel through Palo Alto, and making sure everyone stays safe. So on to our first item. You may have heard that the county issued a new shelter-in-place order, which will go into effect on May 3rd at 11:59 p.m. And effectively what that order does is extends the shelter-in-place order until the end of May. And you are still encouraged to wear face masks. I've got mine here, made by our emergency services chief. Practice proper hygiene, Purell, hand washing, coughing or sneezing into your sleeve. And so the main thing there is that it extends the shelter in place until the end of the month. However, there are a few activities which are allowed in limited fashions right now. And those include things such as construction, real estate transactions, and some outdoor businesses and activities. The county is still requiring you to practice social distancing, though, if you're participating in these activities. Some outdoor recreational facilities and parks will reopen over time with those social distancing requirements. And right now, the city of Palo Alto is really evaluating the state rules, the county rules, and our own rules to figure out if there's a match or mismatch as it may be. Ed, could you share a little bit about that? Like what staff is going through there?
Sure, I'll highlight a few things. As Mayor, you pointed out, a few key areas that residents will see activity increasing around town. Definitely construction. So that's a key area, both in terms of the city's own public works and utilities projects, but also private construction. And so at this point, our staff is gearing up, making contact with our construction contractors to make sure we're aligned in terms of their safety protocols, how it will relate to our own inspectors, and how all the logistics of construction will resume, recognizing that construction is inherently high activity and safety is a really priority as it relates to construction. But now we've got social distancing and ensuring that all of the appropriate personal protective equipment, as well as all the protocols are in place to do that appropriately given COVID-19. So this is happening with city construction projects, private construction projects, as well as now, as you mentioned, our recreational facilities. Our open space staff are looking at what it will take to reopen. Certainly our parking areas have been restricted, and during the weekday we hope to reopen those parking areas, so more information will be forthcoming on that. We still obviously have the priority, as you pointed out, of ensuring social distancing. So we want to make sure that we're providing an environment in which users can have that maintained, including one-way trails, as you may have heard in other recreational areas and the like. So more information to come on that. In fact, on the point of masks, just got off call with the county health officer and county legal counsel. One of the points that they made as it relates to face coverings is that the Santa Clara County approach to face coverings is to require it through the activity itself. So essential activities and outdoor activities will be required to have posting signs and making sure that it's clear that users are to wear masks, or excuse me, face coverings. But that said, it's really focused on the activity rather than the public generally. So I think that's an important distinction, and one that certainly has generated some interest around. So with that, Mr. Mayor, perhaps turn back to you on our next topic.
Sure. So thanks for that. So I mean, just to recap a little bit there, a number of city facilities, our pools, golf course, skate park at Greer's that are happening closed, many others as well. And the city will be evaluating how and when we can reopen those. I know there's been a lot of consternation about the parking lots at the Baylands and Foothill being closed. But as the city manager just said, we are looking at a way where we can reopen those parking lots in the weekdays when and where it's appropriate. So more to come on that. Speaking of open spaces, gardening remains a topic of high concern to our call center and messages to the city council. It's one of the more complicated areas, unfortunately, in the county order, so our staff is still evaluating that. Since the state shelter at home order does restrict this activity, but the county order allows it, so we're trying to work through that. More will be released next week on that matter. I will note nurseries are open for delivery at the moment. And this is a perfect time to garden outdoors. It's also the first of the month, May 1st. And so I know rent may be on top of mind for a lot of folks, whether you're a resident or a business. And so there may be questions about when it's due and how to approach it if you're experiencing difficulty. Palo Alto, Santa Clara County, and the state all have eviction moratoriums for residential and commercial tenants. If you need help with that, please feel free to reach out to the city government or the county, and we can put you in touch with the right programs. Another program that we're working on is testing. A few days ago, myself as mayor and all the mayors from all the cities in Santa Clara County sent a letter to the Board of Supervisors asking for more definition and, as you could say, quickness around rolling out a testing framework. I think it's obviously an area where everyone's aware that there's probably not enough testing going on, and we need to figure out what the protocols are. So we wrote a message to the Board of Supervisors asking, what are the protocols that the county can help us as cities to roll out testing? And we kind of look at it in three priorities. First is our healthcare and emergency services workers. Second is maybe the essential workers who have to show up at their jobs to actually do their jobs. And third is the general public. So the city is looking at that. Stanford Medicine also released an app recently, which allows for priority COVID-19 testing. If you look for Stanford Medicine on the Google Play Store or on your iPhone, you'll find this app, and you can type in some information. It essentially does a synopsis of whether you should get tested or not, and then it will connect you with a virtual doc, I believe, where you can talk to them, describe your symptoms, and they will put you in line to get a test at Stanford. The top priority is still for workers whose jobs require them to be in healthcare or public safety. Any other comments on testing, Ed?
Only that on behalf of the city of Palo Alto, we're continuing in those conversations with the county, both public health office as well as the county executive's office, to see how best the city can be a good partner in trying to ensure that we're rolling out both the testing. You've heard the contact tracing is another key activity that would follow, and then the ability for individuals who have been either exposed, as the case may be, or otherwise positive tests to be isolated and quarantined. So clearly there's an entire workflow there that needs to be developed, and we'll be continuing conversations with the county on how best we can help.
Yeah, and I think something really worth emphasizing here is, this public health crisis, I think, is unlike anything, the federal, state, or local governments have seen in 100 years. And, the city of Palo Alto does many things well, right? We do street sweeping, we do policing, we pave the roads, we take care of the parks, but we are not a public health agency. And so I really do want to, give some kudos to staff for, quickly pivoting towards addressing this public health crisis in many, many different ways. But just want to message out to the public as well that if we do want to do testing in Palo Alto and have the city operate it, we want to make sure it links up and is in sync with county public health. We don't want to just go do random testing that can't be used in their documentation and treatment protocols. I think our next topic is local businesses.
Certainly an area that we're spending quite a bit of attention to now. Clearly, our local businesses are suffering, many of them closed, to be clear, and even those that are able to remain open as essential businesses are certainly struggling. So a couple of things to note. First off, that we do maintain a list of businesses, in particular restaurants and grocery stores that are open on our website. We're partnering with the 650 website that is providing an ongoing tracking of restaurants in particular, but we've got kind of a clearinghouse on the city's website at cityofpaloalto.org/support-local. So once you go to that webpage, it's got a few different avenues you can pursue to get information on businesses that are open, hours, and grocery stores that may be having special hours for seniors or the like. Also, a note that we've got an item coming to the City Council this coming Monday that follows up on prior council action to develop a direct financial support program for small businesses. So we're coming back with some key decision points or criteria that the council can confirm in order for us to be able to move forward with direct grants to small businesses. Open up an opportunity for individuals or companies to donate to that effort as well. So details on that are also still in the works, but we'll have more information on that as the council action occurs on Monday and the follow-up action to come after that. And then most broadly, we've had a series of business roundtables over the last week where we've had 3 sessions, all Zoom calls, which have been a little interesting in and of themselves, just the ability to get large groups of people together, get their input, and then try to organize it in ways that allow us to identify follow-up actions. So that's been a really valuable effort in hearing directly from business action program and how that's been working or not working as the case may be, and some of the real areas that they look to the city to partner with them in reopening in whatever the new normal will be. So we're currently trying to organize the information that was pulled together, and we'll be looping back with the businesses that participated just to make sure we've heard that correctly and then be able to share it more broadly in terms of priorities that the city would take on that is perhaps larger community efforts, but definitely areas that will help us do what we can to get business back in business and really supporting the community as well.
Great, thank you, Ed. I'm really glad the city is doing these business roundtables and getting input from a whole range of businesses, from small mom and pop stores to a grocery store to bigger chains and tech companies. I think it's important that we connect those dots and hear from them directly. Related to that, I've asked council members Nis and council member Cormack to attend those roundtables and kind of synthesize the feedback for the city council, and they'll be giving a brief update on that. Speaking of local businesses, any good takeout this week?
Just had that for lunch. So sorry, I guess I get in a bit of a rut. I'll have to expand my portfolio a bit.
Change it next week. All right. Well, we got Izzy's this morning, so we got our challah and bagels for breakfast and challah for Shabbat tonight. So that's a nice thing that they're still delivering. And then speaking of businesses and how it's tied to our city, the city is also entering budget season. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yep. Let's see. Again, this coming Monday, the council will also be talking about our budget actually over the next several weeks. So on Monday the 4th, we'll come back to the council with a report on some general parameters and some basic budget assumptions that we'd like the council to confirm, as far as, quite frankly, the revenue gap that we should be planning for as we finalize our fiscal year budget. The fiscal year for the city of Palo Alto starts on July 1st and it runs to June 30th. So as we are running up to the end of the current fiscal year, beginning of the next, under the city's charter, the city is required to adopt a new budget for each fiscal year. That needs to be done by July 1st. So over the course of the remainder of May and into early June, we'll be running different analyses of different options for the council and ultimately resulting in council action. As Mayor pointed out, the city depends very heavily on a variety of taxes that fund the services that our community is able to, for the last month and plus, is sales tax and hotel taxes. Those are 2 major sources of revenue that represent about 1/3 of the city's general fund budget. And given that, as everyone knows, the hotels are at single-digit occupancy. Many of them have actually closed. Sales taxes with many retail stores closed also really extraordinarily depressed. So given that, we are planning to adjust revenue forecasts, and unfortunately service levels need to be reduced accordingly. So we'll be talking over the next couple of weeks about the as I mentioned, the broad assumptions and then the very specific service changes that will be necessary in order to implement with our new fiscal year. So unfortunately, this is really going to require reductions in virtually all areas of city services. And this will be a difficult topic, but one that's nonetheless necessary in order to live within our means. So,
yeah, no, I mean, certainly there are tough times ahead. Just for a little bit of high level, the city's general fund budget is about $230 million. And this coming Monday, the city council is going to look at a few scenarios where we decide how much should we plan for in terms of, next year's budget, right? How much of a depression do we expect to see? We're looking at scenarios roughly from 10 to 15% of the city's budget. That's a wide gap, and it roughly works out something about $20 to $35 million. That we may be looking at cutting from the city's budget. And that's going to require, sacrifices on part of staff, on behalf of the community, and in terms of council priorities. And as the city manager mentioned, it's really going to be across the board, although of course we will take, a hard look at certain areas that may be able to give more and others that we need to support more over the next year or two. But I think it should be a sobering reminder to our community of residents, neighborhoods, businesses, nonprofits, that things are going to be very different come July 1st. And in some ways, it's almost like a caretaker budget that we're just going to be doing the basic operational services, and lots of the extras and things that we absolutely love here in Palo Alto are going to be changed. I'd encourage everybody to check out this edition of the Palo Alto Weekly. Councilmember Cormack had a guest opinion piece in there, which does a nice job kind of highlighting and giving the landscape of what our budget situation looks like. On a better note, we still are offering the city's call line in case you need any support or help. It's available Monday through Friday, 8:30 till 6 p.m. And the number is 650-272-3181. That's a great resource if you have questions, if you're a business, a resident, if you're seeing something and want to get some information on it, if you're wondering about parking tickets, building permits, whatever it is. That number again is 650-272-3181. And the city is also answering questions online by email at cityofpaloalto.org/coronavirus. A few last reminders. If you have an emergency, please dial 911, but only if it's a life-threatening emergency. If it's a non-emergency, what's the number again, Ed? I should memorize it by now.
Oh my gosh, you got me.
Did I? Is it written here?
I will need to look that up. I don't want to say it wrong.
If it is a non-emergency, go search Palo Alto Police Department non-emergency line. It's listed on the website. So something that's not life-threatening, make sure to call the non-emergency line. These table talk chats are just one more way we are working to connect our community with information. Please check out the city's website at cityofpaloalto.org/coronavirus. There's a great daily news update the city is sending out, which I encourage everyone to sign up for. And otherwise, I would just say, everyone, tune in next week again, please. Friday at 2 p.m. right here on YouTube. Any closing words of wisdom, Ed?
Only 329-2413. That's the police non-emergency number. 329-2413.
Right. Well, Ed, thanks for taking the time again today. To everyone out there listening live or who will listen over the next few days, I hope you're all safe and healthy in your homes, and be kind to your neighbors. Give a friend a call and wave to people you see on the street. But please do remember to keep on using your masks and proper hygiene and all that stuff. All right, Ed, thank you so much again.
Take care.
Cheers. Have a good one.